Long ago and far away, ladies and gentlemen, there was a band. They were touring the western part of Canada in a Dodge Ram van. Not the most comfortable vehicle, I can tell you that. One night they played a show in the town of Edmonton, the Sidetrack Cafe, as I recall. After the show, as the band left the stage to the rapturous clinking of the glasses, which is a kind of a endearing custom out there in the western prairies. As the band left the stage, they heard a voice from the darkness. It said, "Hey, fellas, over here." They said, "What?" She said, "Over here." They said, "What?" She said, "I'm from Australia." They said, "Ah, okay." But it wasn't so bad. They fell to talking and drinking, playing pool and shuffleboard. And after a while, one of the guys in that band had this idea. He said, hey, sort of casual, he said, "Hey, what are we doing hanging around here paying for our drinks? We've got all this beer back at the hotel we've been accumulating as we've driven across the Trans-Canada Highway. Perhaps you'd like to come back to our hotel for some of that free beer. Molson's Canadian, maybe." She said, "Nah, I don't reckon." I said, okay. But she said, "Hey, fellas, this tour you're on?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Does this tour go to Europe?" I said, "Yeah, it does go to Europe, actually." She said, "Well, hey, I might see you there." They said, "Hey, it's a big place, but we'll keep an eye out for you." She said, "Okay." And after a while, she said, "Hey, fellas, how you getting home?" I said, "I don't know. The tour manager's left us here. Guess we'll have to get a cab." She said, "Do you mind if I share the cab with you?" They said, "Not at all." So they piled into the back of a great big old yellow cab and they took off across the Edmonton night, full of nothing but goodwill. They got back to their hotel. They said, "Hey, you sure you wouldn't like to come up for some of that free beer we've been accumulating?" She said, "No, I'll see you in Europe, boys." I said, "Okay." She leaned across the car. She gave them all a kiss on the cheek. She went off into the Edmonton night, waving out the back window of that yellow cab, and they never, ever laid eyes on her again, ladies and gentlemen. But 6 months later, that band, as luck would have it, found themselves playing not in Europe, not in the western prairies of Canada. They found themselves playing on the central coast of New South Wales, the town of Cardiff, the Cardiff RSL or Working Man's Club, whatever it was called. Halfway through the show, that band looked down and they see on their foldback monitor down here a little piece of paper. The neatest of handwriting, it just said, "R.I.P. this girl's name. Could they please dedicate a song to her?" They did. I'm pretty sure it was a way away. That seems all fine and neat. Trouble is, that band, for the life of them, could not remember who the hell she was. And after the show, they started talking about it, saying, "Do you remember? Do you remember?" "Yeah, I think I remember. I think it was in Edmonton. Was it? Yeah. The Sidetrack Cafe, yeah. The one where they clinked the glasses instead of applauding. Yeah, that's the one. Oh, I remember the girl. We hung around, we drank some beer, we played backgammon and shuffleboard. We asked her back for a party, as I recall, and she declined. Yeah, she declined. It turned out, once I asked the locals about it, a couple of days after she'd been hanging out with them at the Sidetrack Cafe in Edmonton, she passed on in the most tragic and pointless and stupid of circumstances. The last thing that anyone ever heard from her was a postcard saying how she'd been hanging out with the boys from weddings, parties, anything. What a thorough bunch of gentlemen they all were. And as they talked, they remembered more of the night. It all came flooding back. The pool, the backgammon, the shuffleboard, the invitations to parties declined, the loose promise to meet in Europe, the lovely face waving out the window of a yellow cab, speeding off into the Edmonton night. And most of all, they remembered the colour of her hair. Sometimes you can say more in a drunken hour or so, and some people get across in a life of lying low, and sometimes you can feel more for someone you've barely kissed, but you don't see it at the time. Moment that you've missed. And for a short time, she was standing there and you saw her. She saw you and you recall the color of her hair. And for a long time, you never thought of her that you had. She was gone for good. You might have cried then if you could. Would have looked foolish if you did. Somewhere the tears were falling in your mind. For a short time. There's a photo of your gang on the night she hung about, and you're looking like a wag. You've got your fat tongue poking out, but she is nowhere to be seen. You won't spot her anywhere. It was her that took the picture. You were looking straight at her. And for a short time, she was standing there and you saw her. She saw you and you recall the color of her hair. And for a long time, you never thought of her that you had. She was gone for good. You might have cried then if you could. Would have looked foolish if you did. Somewhere the tears were falling in your mind. For a short time. Is it longer than 2 hours, or a bit less than a weekend? Is it shorter than a year? Is it the time it takes to not complete your business with a person? To a friend you make in transit, to a daughter held so dear. For a short time she was standing there and you saw her. She saw you and you recall the color of her hair. For a long time you never thought of her than you heard. She was gone for good. You might have cried then if you could. Would have looked foolish if you did. Somewhere the tears were falling in your mind. For a short time, for a short time, for a short time.